Organic chemistry is the study of carbon containing compounds and their properties. Organic compounds are substances that contain C or carbon with a few exceptions. When naming organic compounds, we use prefixes. They're determined by the number of carbons in a chain. The first one is meth, second is eth, 3 is prop, 4 is bute, 5 is pent, 6 is hex, 7 is hept, 8 is oct, 9 is non, and 10 is dec. The International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry Rules, or the IUPAC rules, help name compounds. Alkanes, when naming, you use a prefix and then ane, and they happen to be the simplest organic compounds out of all these various compounds. They are completely saturated, which means that carbon has 4 hydrogens to them, and it is a single bond, which allows it to be completely saturated. Alkenes use the prefix and then ene at the end, and they are unsaturated. They have a double bond, which makes them unsaturated, and an sp2 hybridization at 120 degrees. Alkyne uses the prefix and then y and e at the end. They are unsaturated, and they have a triple bond, which makes them unsaturated. They have an sp hybridization, and they are linear. When naming an organic compound, you have to keep in mind that carbon chains come off of the parent chain. A parent chain is the longest amount of carbons. If one carbon comes off of the parent chain, then it's a methyl. If 2 carbons come off of the parent chain, it's an ethyl. A comma separates the numbers from each other, and a dash separates the numbers from the naming. The numbers are determined by the largest carbon chain's numbers. Here is an example of a carbon compound. We're going to be naming this to show how we use the naming system and the different rules. Let's count the longest chain of carbon. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the longest chain, so it's going to be pent. As we see, there's a double bond, so it's going to end in E, so it's pentane. And since it's on the first one, it's going to be 1 pentane. Since there's 1 carbon coming off of the 4th one, it's going to be methyl with a 4 and a dash in between. So the name will be 4-methyl 1-pentene. And we got this by counting the longest parent chain, when that determines the prefix, and seeing if there's any double bonds and any carbon chains coming off of any of the various carbons in the longest chain. There are also other ways to draw them. We can replace the carbons with the CH in whatever number of hydrogens they are to simplify it. Or we can get rid of all of it and use lines to show the various relationships between the carbons. And this is the easiest way to draw it when we don't want to write out all the C's and H's. Cyclic hydrocarbons are when a carbon chain joins to itself in a ring. You can tell it's a cyclo when it is an enclosed shape. The naming is the same, except you use the prefix cyclo to show that it's a cyclone.